Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
Welcome to another episode of the Killer Innovations podcast, where we delve into the dynamic world of creativity, innovation, and the future. Today, we tackle a topic of critical importance: the consequences of slowing research and innovation. Over the years, I've witnessed the transformative power of research and innovation, propelling our world into areas of unprecedented technological advancement. But what happens when we slam the brakes on this forward momentum? In this episode, we dissect the effects of reduced commitment towards research and innovation, drawing insights from historical case studies such as the U.S. Space Exploration Program. We explore how short-term savings can lead to long-term disadvantages and the ripple effect on competitiveness and market relevance. We also venture into the counterargument, the manifold benefits of sustained investment in research and innovation. From driving revenue growth to improving the lives of citizens, the advantages are far-reaching. But how can we consumers and voters ensure our organizations and governments prioritize long-term thinking over short-term gains? Stay tuned as we unravel these questions and more. We'll discuss the telltale signs of reduced innovation investment and how we can use our voices and choices to advocate for future driven by research and innovation. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a corporate leader, a policymaker, or a concerned citizen, this episode has something to offer you. But before we jump into this week's episode, I have that favor to ask: follow, like, and share. Follow, like, and share us on your favorite social media platforms. This is a great way to help us reach more people and spread the word about the podcast. If you're not receiving our free weekly newsletter, visit philmckinney.com, click on membership to sign up. Now let's dive in to this week's episode. Imagine a world where the wheel was never invented, where fire was an unknown phenomena, or more relatable to our modern era, a world without the internet. These inventions, both ancient and modern, were all birthed from research and innovation. But what happens when this life-giving flow of ideas slows down or stops? What are the consequences when corporations and governments, constrained by budgets and funding, decide to pull back on their research and innovation investments? Let's hypothesize for a moment. Given that it takes years to build a pipeline of research and innovations, any slowdown would shrink that pipeline. In short term, companies may see a slight impact on their bottom line, but as time goes on and that pipeline dries up, the effects would become more apparent. The result? Lost competitiveness and an inability to respond to sudden shocks of the unanticipated that research and innovation could have mitigated. And with governments, the consequences can be even more severe. Slowing or stopping research and development can harm public health, national security, and economic growth. Without continued advancements in medicine, diseases may go uncured or untreatable. Without innovations in defense technology, military capabilities such as cybersecurity may lag behind the potential threats. And without progress in other sectors, economies may experience slowdowns or even recessions. But it's not just about these obvious effects. Slowing research and development can also stifle creativity and hinders progress. It limits the potential for new discoveries, inventions, and breakthroughs that could vastly improve our lives. Innovation is a crucial driving force behind economic growth and societal advancement. It creates jobs, increases productivity, and improves our quality of life. When innovation stagnates, it affects not just corporations or governments, but the entire population. And cutting back on research and development also hinders our ability to stay competitive globally. In today's interconnected world, countries constantly compete for resources, talent, and market share. If one country falls behind in innovation because of a lack of investment or support, it can have a ripple effect that affects the entire global economy. The short term versus the long bet. Let's think about this. Consider a corporation that cuts back on its research and development budget. It might seem like a sensible decision in the short term, given the pressures to meet the quarterly numbers. But in the long term, it can be a costly mistake. Take the pharmaceutical industry as an example. Developing new drugs takes years, if not decades, of research and investment, with no guarantee of success. If companies are unwilling to take that risk and instead focus on short term, quarterly profits, it could lead to the lack of breakthrough medications that could save lives or improve the quality of life. After all, R&D is often costly endeavor, and the returns are not always immediate. Without a steady stream of innovation, the corporations risk falling behind its competitors. It loses its edge, its unique selling proposition. It could coast on its existing products for a while, but eventually they will become outdated. And then what? Without new products to replace the old ones, the corporation's market share will dwindle, its profits will shrink, and it finds itself on the downward spiral for which it may never recover. The same principle applies to governments. A government that cuts back on its investment in research and innovation may save some money in the short term, but at what cost? Reduced competitiveness in the global arena, a decline in the quality of life of its citizens, an inability to respond effectively to unexpected crises. To further explain the effects of this short term decision making by businesses and governments, let's delve into some tangible examples and their effects. These instances will underscore the profound ramifications which entities engrossed in immediate gains or cost savings overlook the vital long term investment in research and innovation. Be it a corporation's declining market value because of stagnated product lineups or a government's amplified vulnerability in crises management. The repercussions of such decisions can be far reaching and potentially irreversible. Let's talk about Kodak. Kodak provides a powerful example of a corporation that allowed short term considerations to guide its strategic decisions, leading to its downfall. At its peak, Kodak was a giant in the photography industry. However, with the advent of digital cameras and smartphones, the demand for traditional film declined rapidly. Instead of investing in research to stay ahead of the curve and adapt to a changing market trends, Kodak chose to focus on maximizing its existing profits. In 1996, Kodak stock hit an all-time high with a market value of over $28 billion. By 2012, the company declared bankruptcy, unable to keep up with its competitors' technological advancements. Kodak's failure to invest in research and innovation ultimately led to its downfall and loss of market share. Let's talk about a government example. In 2013, the U.S. government underwent a series of funding cuts, which included significant reductions in scientific research funding. This decrease in investment led to a decline in groundbreaking discoveries and advancements that could have benefited society. For instance, it was estimated that the funding cuts resulted in a 20% decrease in grants for medical research, hampering progress towards cures and treatments for diseases such as cancer, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. Another commercial example would be the BlackBerry. BlackBerry Limited, once a market leader in the mobile phone industry, offered a compelling example of how decrease in research and innovation spend can lead to a significant consequence. At its peak, BlackBerry was synonymous with smartphones, known for its unique QWERTY keyboard design and secured email services. However, as touchscreen technology started gaining traction, BlackBerry's decision to stick with its traditional design and not innovate in new areas quickly led to the company's losing market share. Despite the rising popularity of Apple iPhone and Android devices, BlackBerry failed to invest adequately in research and innovation to compete with these new technologies. The company continued to focus on its existing products, underestimating the impact of touchscreen technology and the shift in consumer preferences towards more app oriented smartphones. Eventually, the lack of innovation in their product line resulted in BlackBerry's market share plummeting from a peak of 20% market share in 2009 to less than 1% in 2014, 5 years later. BlackBerry's story serves as a stark reminder of the importance of a consistent investment in research and innovation as a long-term strategy for maintaining competitiveness and market relevance. Now, another example in the U.S. government side is the investment in space exploration. The U.S. government's decision to curtail its investment in space exploration in the late 20th century had a big impact. When the space race peaked, the U.S. invested heavily in NASA, resulting in groundbreaking innovations like GPS, satellite technology, and yes, the internet. However, in the years that followed, investment in NASA diminished significantly. The short-term savings were apparent, but the long-term effects were detrimental as other countries caught up in technology development and the resulting spin-off innovations. Recently, recognizing the strategic economic advantages, the U.S. government has renewed its commitment to space exploration. Still, the period of reduced investments has indeed resulted in a competitive disadvantage in certain areas of exploration and technology. But as we look at these examples, what if instead of focusing on short-term funding challenges, corporations and governments kept up their research and innovation investments? The benefits are manifold. They are many. For corporations, continued investment in R&D can lead to developing new products that drive revenue growth and increase market share. It can also lead to improvements in existing products, making them more appealing to consumers and thus boosting sales. And for governments, investing in research and innovation can lead to advancements in technology and infrastructure that improves the lives of citizens. It can also stimulate economic growth by creating jobs and attracting foreign investment. A consistent commitment to research and innovation can help corporations and governments become more resilient. Thanks to their ongoing investment in new ideas and technologies, they will be better equipped to respond and adapt when unexpected challenges arise. So, what is it you can do? Become educated and understand the level of investment the corporations you depend on, along with your government. While you may not be a leader, you can vote with your vote at the ballot box, your voice, and your wallet. Choose to prioritize research and innovation. Advocate for policies that promote long-term thinking and investment in the future. So what should you look for? 1. Track research and development expenditures. Monitor the annual reports or financial statements of corporations and the budget allocations of governments. A decreasing trend in the expenditure for research and innovation is a big red flag. 2. Monitor new products or service launches. Frequent introduction of new products or services indicates a healthy innovation pipeline. This is where Apple excels. A slowdown could be a sign of reduced focus on long-term progress. 3. Look for patent filings. The number of new, high-quality patents, those that are filed, indicates a robust innovation pipeline. A dip in the number, it's not just a number, also quality, might hint at a lack of investment in research and innovation. 4. Check updates on ongoing research projects. Regular updates on ongoing research projects show a consistent focus on innovation. A lack of these updates could signal a shift towards short-term goals. 5. Assess the quality of the products or services. Short-term decision-making often results in compromised quality. Negative customer reviews or increased complaints can be a sign of this. 6. Watch out for layoffs in R&D departments. Staff reductions, particularly in research and development and innovation, can indicate a shift towards short-term cost-cutting at the expense of future innovation. In this case, one word of caution, there are over time some adjustments that are necessary as new skills, new areas of innovation need to be invested in. To achieve that, there will be efforts where there may be some shifts and reductions in order to be able to make future investments. So look at this over time, just not a one-time tick of layoffs in R&D, but does that fuel future investment? Number 7, scrutinize leadership communication. Pay attention to the messages conveyed by corporate and government leaders. Prioritization of immediate profits over long-term innovation in their communication should be treated as a warning sign. If you notice any of these red flags mentioned above, let them know your concerns and share why you believe investment in research and innovation is crucial for their and your long-term success. So, to leaders of corporations and governments, here's the message. Do not let short-term funding challenges blind you to the long-term benefits of research and innovation. Yes, it's an investment. Yes, it's a risk, but it's a risk worth taking. Considering this startling fact, according to a study by the National Bureau of Economic Research, in 2020, every dollar spent on R&D returns an estimated $14 in GDP growth over its long term. Every $1, $14 in GDP growth. Now that's an investment with a promising future. In a rapidly developing world, we cannot afford to stand still. We must continually strive to push the boundaries, to explore the unknown, to innovate. And it's through innovation that we shape our future. And it's through research that we pave the path to get there. Thank you so much for joining us on this intriguing journey today. We deeply appreciate your time and interest in research, innovation, and the future. We hope this episode provided valuable insights and sparked some thinking on how we can all contribute to a future driven by innovation. As we reach the end of the episode, we'd like to ask for your help. Our mission at Killer Innovations is to spread knowledge and stimulate discussions about creativity, innovation, and shaping the future. However, we cannot achieve this objective alone. We need your help to reach more people who share our passion and curiosity. Sharing our podcast with your friends, colleagues, and your social network can make a big difference. It's easy to do. Click the share button on your favorite podcast platform or post a link to our podcast on your social media. Perhaps you could even mention us in a conversation or a meeting. Every share and mention helps us reach more listeners and ignites more conversations about innovation. We also encourage you to leave a review or rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to Killer Innovations. Your feedback helps us improve and makes our podcast more discoverable for new listeners. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes, please contact us. You can do that over at killerinnovations.com or over at theinnovators.network. Your input is invaluable in guiding the content we create. Finally, if you haven't yet signed up for the free weekly newsletter, visit philmckinney.com, click on membership to sign up. It's a great way to stay updated with our latest episodes and other exciting news. Once again, thank you for your time today. I know how precious it is, and I am grateful that you chose to spend it with me. Remember, the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we actively create. Together, let's continue shaping the future, one innovation at a time. And until next time, keep innovating and keep making a difference. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.